Okay, so in the last video, I said I rose 700 feet over my commute and I ran 32,200 feet. And then I said something kind of mysterious, but I actually didn't. And the reason for that is if you think about what Strava is measuring, sorry for this by the way, if you think about what Strava is actually measuring, it's measuring your elevation change, which is definitely the rise or fall of your trip, that's for sure. But this 6.1 miles, you need to think about, where am I traveling that 6.1 miles? And I'm traveling that 6.1 miles on the road, right? It's not the run. I'm not always horizontal. I'm very often tilted. You can see that right here. I'm very often tilted up or tilted down. Sometimes I turn through flat, but most of the time I'm on some kind of a tilt. So I need to redraw this picture more correctly. I gotta get rid of all this stuff. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a small note on the sideboard over here. What we just did was we did what is called grade. We calculated it the wrong way. And I put that in quotes because it's very often calculated this way, but it is incorrect. What we did was, we did the rise over the road, and we got 700 feet over 32,200 feet, which is about 2%. Okay, I'm going to come back to that in a second. Let me erase the board. We're going to draw a new picture, much simpler picture, because we don't need the entire graphic of my commute anymore. We just need a much more simplified triangle that has 700 feet here. Now, I don't think anybody's doubting that I rose 700 feet. I mean, I started at 34, went to 41, that's 700 feet of elevation. And I don't think anybody's doubting that that should be a right angle, because it should. I'm saying that that 32,200 feet does not belong here. It belongs here. It belongs there. Okay? And that's the challenge, is if that's there, then what number is actually here? What's the run? Because in order to do the grade the right way, we have to do the rise over the run. And that means we have to figure out what the run is. So what we're going to do today is either learn or relearn something that you may or may not have learned, or may have learned at some previous point in your life in geometry class. It's called the Pythagorean theorem. Now you might wonder why it's called the Pythagorean theorem, especially because the mathematician Pythagoras didn't discover it. The Chinese had it 1,000 years before him. How this guy got his name attached to a theorem that wasn't his is beyond me. I have no idea, but it doesn't matter. It's called the Pythagorean theorem, and for our intents and purposes, it's that the rise of our right triangle squared plus the run of our right triangle squared equals the road of our right triangle squared. And we're going to stick with that. This is the Pythagorean theorem. The rise squared plus the run squared equals the road squared. And I've got a fun proof of this equation that I want to record with our son, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize this. We're going to trust that it's true. I'll give you a video if you want later on, or in class, ask me. Even better yet, in class, if you want to know why this is true, ask me. I'll be more than happy to sit down and show you why this is a true statement. But I'm going to utilize this because here's the deal, right? If I know the road, which I do, it's 32,200 feet, and I know the rise, which is 700 feet, I don't know the run, but I can figure it out. So if the road is 32,200 feet, I can take that number and square it. And over on this side, the rise is 700 feet, and I can square that. I don't know what the run is, but I sure can figure it out. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so some of this I can do in my head. 700 feet I can do in my head. That's going to be 4, 9, and then 6, 0. So that's going to be 490,000 square feet. Plus the run squared is going to equal, okay, now that one I can't do in my head, 32,200 squared. That is going to be a ridiculous number. What is that? What's 1.036? I'm just going to write it out. 1,036,840,000 square feet. So let's just take a quick pause before we go any further and realize where these numbers came from. It's dimensional analysis again. If you take 700 feet and multiply it by 700 feet, you have now multiplied 700 by 700 to get 490,000. But you've also multiplied feet by feet to get square feet. And this is okay, because this is also squared. And we're gonna take care of that in a second. Now, since the run squared has this added to it, we're going to take this away from this and get that the run squared. I'm going to do that minus that. Now that's just square feet minus square feet, which is going to be left with square feet. So that number minus, I end up, it's not going to change it very much. It's 1 billion, change colors on you because that piece of chalk was too small, sorry. 36,350,000 square feet. Square feet. But the thing is that is the run times itself. That's squared. It's the run squared. So that's the run times the run. And there's something you learned in your previous math classes. You can undo squaring by taking what's called a square root. So that's what I'm going to do to both sides. And I'm going to take the square root of all of that. If you're feeling sick to your stomach, don't worry. I have a workaround for all of this. And I end up with about 32,000. The run is about equal to 32,192 feet. Now we're back to feet, just feet, because I took the square root of feet squared, which is just going to be feet. Now take a look at this. I want you to look at those numbers, because I fear we may have gotten lost in some algebra here, a little bit of algebra. But don't worry. Again, I have a tool that we're going to deal with the algebra here momentarily. Is that still recording? Oh, I wonder. I hope it is. The battery says it's almost dead, which is weird. I'll wrap this up quickly. Please look at 32,192, and please look at 32,200. You see how close those are? There's not much of a difference when the grade is not very steep. More on that later. The right way grade is going to be 700 feet over 32,192 feet. If I actually calculate that, I get ostensibly 2% again. So in other words, all this extra math that we did to get a more precise answer doesn't get us any more usable precision than we already had by doing it the wrong way. Now some of you might be sitting there going, then why did you show us the right way? There's two reasons for that. Number one, it is the right way. It's the definition of what grade is. But number two, it's to motivate the spreadsheet that I want to show you next. And this will be our last video. So I'm going to shut this down before the battery dies. And we're going to go back to screen capture. See you in a little bit.